And one of the things that happened in the past week, and this kind of came out of nowhere in a way. Like Pierre-Luc Dubois has apparently publicly stated that he would like to play in Montreal. Now there is an additional rumor that I'll get into after this, but has another team involved. But apparently Montreal and Columbus were speaking before the season started, trying to work something out. Montreal and other teams as well, because lots of interest in Pierre-Luc Dubois, but it didn't happen, and they're being very patient right now, which is fine. But he has requested a trade. Apparently, Montreal is his number one choice. It's a little difficult because Montreal, while they do have assets to trade, they aren't really assets they planned on trading. So do you make the sacrifice? I'm not really sure. What's your thoughts on this? Pierre-Luc Dubois is an obviously easy fit and good fit in Montreal, but as a Canadiens fan, what are you going to give up?
Oh man, I like he's an elite player, and he comes from the right culture. He's essentially would be treated as a hometown boy, of course, and he would be a great fit culturally for the team and for the fans. I would give quite a bit, actually. I have a poison pill. I think I'd throw in the trade deal, though. Um, I have ideas. I know Kakanyemi's been talked about. I know Suzuki's been talked about. I wouldn't want to touch Suzuki. I think he's going to be a fabulous player for his whole lifetime, and as much of that as possible in Montreal. Kotkaniemi, I'm not so sure. He got off to a great start. He did very well in the playoffs last year, and he's off to a pretty good start this year. But I just even in the Saturday night game, I watched him fairly closely, knowing that his name is coming up in these rumors, and there's some plays that I thought he made where he turned away from the puck, where he should have turned towards the puck, and he was a little tentative on some of those encounters he had with Edmonton. So that obviously doesn't tell the whole story about him as a player. I really like him as a player, and I hope Montreal can find a way to hang on to him. But my idea here is either a straight up trade, Pierre-Luc Dubois for Jonathan Drouin. It would
You
solve
think
so many problems.
I don't think that Columbus would appreciate that trade too much. I don't
No, they
think.
no, they wouldn't, and that's why I think Montreal would have to sweeten the deal. So do you put Drouin and throw in Kotkaniemi for Dubois? What happens in that case is you've got what, 5.5 million cap hit for Drouin. You've got a 5 million cap hit for Dubois. They're only a year apart in the length of their contract, so that would more or less even out. And if Montreal also puts Kotkaniemi in there to sweeten the deal, it actually brings Montreal down a bit, gives them some cap space, and they can start fishing around. I would do that deal. I think getting rid of Drouin is more important than getting Dubois, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Pierre-Luc Dubois is this one of the centermans that Montreal needs. Montreal has centermans now, but they don't have the depth up the middle that they really need to. Uh, Pierre-Luc Dubois would be a perfect fit in Montreal, in my opinion. Desperately, they need him. But I'm worried that they would have to give up a little bit too much. I think you're right with Drouin, just from a cap perspective. Montreal doesn't have the cap to just bring in Pierre-Luc Dubois for assets that aren't in the NHL or picks or whatever. They have to move a body, and Drouin is the obvious choice. I believe he's paid the most of all the forwards in Montreal,
Yeah,
so it would even out financially for the team. I I'm I'm on the fence with Kotkaniemi because I see a lot of potential there. He's a thin kid, but once he bulks up and stuff, he could be possibly a power forward later in his career, or in his late 20s or something like that. So I don't want to miss out on that. But I'm worried when I hear names being thrown around like Romanov and uh, Cole Caulfield
yeah,
and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I would
Those
be
guys
more
are
in,
untouchable.
yeah, I would be more in favor of Drouin and maybe some upper tier assets, not superstars. Not that Cole Caulfield's going to be superstar or Romanov, but you understand what I mean. Maybe Drouin, Evans, uh, Ryan Paling. There's still I don't know how to feel about Ryan Paling. It's a bit wishy washy. He needs more time to prove himself, I think, in the NHL. And
He
there's a lot
does.
there's a lot of potential there, but I just don't know.
And you look at Evans, how Evans really blossomed even in last night's game and got that goal. He got his own rebound and put it in. Evans has toiled. He's been in the U.S. College system for several years, and he played for a couple of years with Laval. He really was under the radar on the big squad, and all of a sudden he's there and he's fitting in perfectly. So maybe Paling heads in that same trajectory. Maybe Caulfield heads in that same trajectory, and they're players that are worth keeping. So I agree with you. I would be reluctant to move some of those prospects. Uh, and Kotkaniemi will probably fill out even more. He has thickened somewhat since last year, but he's still a pretty spindly guy.
Yeah, he is, and I don't think the other asset that Montreal has, and there's a bunch, but Primo is. I don't think it's really an interest point for Columbus. They're pretty set in net for the future, so I don't think Montreal can dangle him at all, and I don't think they should either. So
Yeah, Montreal's in good shape goalie wise now with Jake Allen on. He's only on for I think the 1 year, or is that just 1 year, right, for Jake
I
Allen so
think it
far?
might be two.
Okay, if even if it's two, because you're thinking Primo and Lindgren and the other goalies that are on their way up, it would still probably be 7 or 8 years before either one of them would ever be considered a starter. So you could probably ship one of your upper end prospect goalies and just sign Jake for a longer period of time if he works out.
Yeah, Carey Price. If Montreal doesn't do anything in the next 2 or 3 years, and he's coming up on the last 5 years of his life in the NHL, he may request a trade and go somewhere else and try and get it done. And as he should, he
As he
deserves to
should.
go somewhere where he has a better chance to do it. And I'd be fine with that. I think at that point, you're right. I don't. You said 8. I think that's a little bit too far out. But yeah, we're probably 4 years away from Primo taking the net at the earliest, and it's going to be good for Montreal for that transition to take place. I think Price has served his time and stuff, but it feels weird talking about planning for Price's exit from the Montreal Canadiens when it feels like he just entered the league. Honestly, as time flies so fast, it's crazy.
I remember the draft when they chose him in 2005, and I remember all the shaking heads saying, what are the Habs doing grabbing a goalie that high up? That's crazy." And it was not crazy.
Yeah, I think it was. Did he go fifth overall or sixth?
Fifth or better. Yeah, I think it was fifth.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
high.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, that leads me into a segue for more rumors in the NHL, and I'm going to stick with the Pierre-Luc Dubois thing. Apparently, he also wants to play for the Rangers, or he would consider playing for the Rangers because he knows Panarin, he's played with Panarin, and he likes Panarin, so he wants to play with Panarin again. So I don't know how much actual validity is in that. That's more of a loose rumor, not so much concrete and public, but that's what I've heard there. And then there's still Line A rumors floating around. It just feels like I've been talking about this for 2 years, or we've been chatting about this. Is he going to go to Florida? Is he going to go to this place? I'm kind of tired of it. If it's going to happen, it just needs to happen. Or Winnipeg needs to get their crap together and make it work, because right now it's just drama, and it hangs over the Winnipeg Jets franchise and their heads. Just put a nail in the coffin and either trade him or say you're never trading him, and then actually don't trade him.
As some of the commentators last night said in some of the kibitzing about Line A, at least in Line A's case, unlike Dubois, who seems to have taken his foot off the gas a little bit in Columbus, with Line A, he's still charging when he's playing for Winnipeg. And his goal last night, or the one I saw anyway, is testament to the fact that he's still outputting a lot. And as much as he may not be thrilled in Winnipeg, he knows that while he's there, he's going to have to produce, and he is producing. So I think that takes a little bit of the urgency factor away. But other than that, I do agree with you. Uh, it's the long game that counts, not the short game. And if the long game means that you have to make a move and move on, turn the page on this, then that's what they have to do.
Did you see his first game this year I forget who it was against, maybe Vancouver or Calgary. Anyways, he got in a little tussle behind the net.
I did not know.
Is that You don't see pissed off Line A too much, but he was pissed. His helmet was off. His hair was everywhere. His face was red. He was swearing. He was trying to get at guys. You should watch the clip if you haven't already. It's actually pretty interesting. And then the last rumor that I have, which is a very, very loose rumor. I just heard it today from a couple of different sites online, talking about a pretty big interdivisional swap in the East Division. I honestly put no faith in that rumor. I've never heard anyone with any kind of credibility in the hockey world talk about it. So right now, it's just kind of a pipe dream. I have no idea what teams are involved. I have no idea what players. That's all I heard. So
yeah, as we discussed last week, I'm not a big fan of exactly how they line things up, but now that they've lined them up and they've started things in motion, it's frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.